Hi guys, this is Cash, and today I want to share some tips that really help me improve in Mythic Plus. Without doing a load of research, my key completion rate and IO rating went from this to this, and I want to help you do the same. I'm going to share my advice that can be applied to any dungeon. I'm not going to go into the specifics of each dungeon. I would definitely do some guides later down the line that will go into each dungeon in more detail. But today I'm just going to go through some general changes that you can make to improve your gameplay in Mythic Plus. So let's go. Why am I doing hand gestures? So the first one I want to cover off is position. If you are that person that is always butt pulling in a dungeon, or if you're lagging behind the group, or if you spend a lot of time moving to change position, then this one's going to help you so much. This first bit is going to be directed at range players because you want to minimize your movement in order to maximize your cast time. If you are doing a linear pull, such as in Gambit before you reach the second boss area, consider positioning yourself midway down the corridor before you use your cooldowns or begin your ramp. This way, if the tank needs to kite or decides to chain the next pack of mobs, you're already in position instead of trailing behind and running to catch up. This can save you valuable seconds. Another thing to consider is your position in relation to the healer, so you don't miss out on AoE healing. As a Holy Priest, nothing feels worse than casting Master Spell on 5 stacks of bursting, only to realize too late that someone is out of range, usually hunters. And as a healer, you want to generally position yourself between the range DPS and the tank. And if you're playing with a full group of melee, there is nothing stopping you from standing much closer. This will help you keep up, but also ensure you capture yourself in the AoE healing. Now obviously this advice should only be taken into consideration when it is safe and makes sense to do so. You don't want to stand in a melee cleave or overlap any AoE damage. So how can you immediately begin to improve your positioning? Well, something that worked really well for me was to mark another player in my group and follow them around. Doing this meant that if I ever felt visually overwhelmed or if I didn't feel confident in my knowledge of the dungeon, I could just follow someone until the pathing felt more natural. And now for an unpopular opinion. If you really want to work on positioning yourself better, so you don't backpedal into mobs or stand in the path of a patrol, my suggestion is to hide your healing and DPS meters and really focus more on the environment. Take a mental note of some visual markers in the dungeon and always aim to position yourself in the same spot. If you can, repeat the same dungeon a few times in a row to really get a feel for it before bringing more dungeons into the mix. Okay, so another tip that I have is to use your defensives. In lower keys, most damage can just be healed through, and so the expectation falls on the healer to just keep the group alive. However, in higher keys, not bothering to avoid or mitigate a lot of mechanics can easily get you killed, especially if it's combined with some unavoidable damage coming up straight afterwards. A good example of this is in Upper Karazhan on a higher key. Medivh's Inferno Bolt, the dot that it leaves behind can tick on you for 20k. You're going to see a clip of me here where I get double Inferno Bolt and it's ticking away for 40k. I obviously die. I do pop Guardian Wings on myself, but I still go down. But the point is that I tried. I definitely popped something on there to help mitigate that damage. So my advice for lower keys is to practice now. Practice avoiding that avoidable damage. Immunities especially are so powerful. Do not be afraid to use them to avoid incoming damage. A huge problem with people's mindset in lower keys is that they see their defenses as an oh shit button. They see them for emergencies only, things like Turtle, Bubble, Guardian Spirit. Those things should not be used just to get out of an emergency. Like, it is great when they are available to you, but you need to start cataloging when the best time to use them is, and don't be afraid to test them. For example, I only just recently learned that the last boss of Mechagong Workshop, King Mechagong, you can use Shadow Meld to escape the Giga Zap. This is a game changer. Giga Zap comes up so often, and Shadow Meld has such a short cooldown that you can use it multiple times to avoid damage. If you're struggling to remember to use your defensives, my advice is to put them in a more prominent position. Put them somewhere you can see them, or assign them to a better keybind. And really my best advice is to just stop thinking of them as an oh shit, get out of trouble, run the fuck away right now button. You definitely need to be using them to mitigate or avoid damage if you want to improve in Mythic Plus. Now, if I had to pick just one piece of advice to share with you that absolutely changed my gameplay in Mythic Plus and helped me improve, it would be weak auras and sounds, but more specifically, sounds. I know this might sound lame to some people. I know a lot of people that play with their game sound completely off and just play in absolute silence, but for me, Mythic keys are very visually overwhelming. There is so much happening. I have mentioned this before. And so turning on my WoW sounds, listening to the dialogue, and listening to the sound effects that are linked with some abilities, this helped me so much. Another thing you can do is open your bigwigs or your DBM and assign alerts to mechanics that you consistently struggle with. I understand that sometimes you are just focused on your rotation, or especially as a healer, there is just a lot going on. You are going to miss things, and that's okay. And if you can recognize that there is something that you are consistently missing, do not be afraid to assign some crazy loud sound that is just going to scare you out of your rotation and make you dodge or move or whatever you need to do. I have done this for so many mechanics, and it has helped me. And my last bit of advice is to communicate. At the end of the day, we are playing an RPG, and there are so many people out there that are willing to help if you just ask. If you're not sure about what mechanics you should be kicking, if you're not sure about when to lust, or if you would just like to know what route the tank has in mind, my advice is to just ask that question. My friends list is full of pugs that I have played with, and I have either liked the way that they tank, I've liked the routes that they've done, or I've just found them friendly, and that way I can play with them again, but also if I have any questions, I can ask them. And so in saying that, if you have any questions for me, please just comment below. And if you like this guide, please like and subscribe because I'm definitely going to bring out some more content. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Did I record any of that?